Hello again, everyone. I'm Dr. George Simon, and welcome to another edition of Character Matters, the program where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that we face and that affects so many aspects of our lives. I've said many times before, developing the kind of character that can bring wholesomeness to relationships, that can help build positive societies has always been a challenge. We human beings don't come by character naturally. We have to learn and then embrace deep in our hearts certain crucial values. The values that I talk at length about in my book, Essentials for the Journey. Time tested principles, not only for emotional well being, but also psychological well being and overall character health. It's tough to embrace these principles. It's tough enough to even be aware of them. But it's particularly tough in our day and age, given the cultural climate, the prevailing cultural climate of so many societies these days. It's allowed individuals with very serious character pathology to rise to unprecedented levels of power and influence. But it's more insidious than that. The lack of well developed characters affects every single one of our relationships, especially our most intimate relationships. And today I want to talk specifically about the importance of character and what we all have to do to help restore its importance in our lives. Recently, there was a live edition of this program, and it made me think about how much more frequently probably we should do some live programs. So I'm in the planning stages of arranging that. And one of the questions that was asked, I answered as best I could at the time, given that there were other people waiting to ask questions. But one person asked if, in fact, dealing with certain kinds of manipulative characters weren't analogous to being in a cult, experiencing the gaslighting effect that certain kinds of nefarious characters are capable of inducing was very much like what cult members experience. And I answered that partly well, I think, but I do believe I left out an important piece. I made the point that some individuals who have a certain degree of skill, relational skill, interpersonal skill, and have the qualities of what we commonly call charm and charisma can hold sway over people. And one of the things that we know about the gaslighting effect is that when you add to all the tactics that produce the gaslighting effect, when you add to that apparent conviction, what seems like certainty, when the person seeking to convince you to adopt their view of things is so seemingly convinced themselves, seems so sure, and is not so subtle about evoking doubt in you, the temptation to substitute the other person's reality or what seems their reality for your own better intuitive judgment is strong. So, in many ways, dealing with any skilled manipulator, especially those who have the skills to charm and to influence, who are charismatic in some ways, the temptation is to forsake your own better judgment and to let someone else's will prevail, to adopt their reality, or at least what they claim is reality. But I'm here to emphasize once again, and I make this point in many articles, that you can find on my blog at drgeorgesimon.com. And I've written an article just this week on the same topic. It's important to remember that much of the time, individuals determined to have you believe what they say is true don't really believe what they're saying. The important thing is that you believe it so that they have the influence that they want over you, so that they have the power and the control they seek. In workshops all across the country for years, I made the point that with certain, especially narcissistic and dominant seeking individuals, much like the old adage of the only three things that matter in real estate being location, 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 with character disturbed people, within relationships, only three things matter: position, position, and position. What they're really all about is that position of dominance and control. It's all about having things their way with a sense of entitlement, relishing in it, sometimes astounding themselves with the sway that they manage to hold over people. And we don't do anyone a service, let alone ourselves, when we fall prey, when we fall victim, when we fail to see what they're really up to and what the true agenda is. And then we relinquish our better judgment. Sometimes we even relinquish our minds and turn ourselves over. This is not good for us, certainly, because it's the ticket to eventual abuse. Folks of those stripes almost can't help but use and abuse. The callous, senseless, remorseless use and abuse of others is what defines the worst of them. It's all about holding sway, lusting for the power. The power doesn't corrupt. The corruption is there to start with, corruption of character. If power alone were inherently corrupting, then no newborn child whose very existence depends on the goodwill of a parent would have a chance at survival. The power a person has over such a life, such a helpless life, is infinite. And yet, most of us have the decency of character to wield that power with great trepidation because we put some other value ahead of it. We're not drunk with the power and we don't abuse it. But reprehensible characters inevitably will, which is why, over and over again, I say, character matters. It matters more than anything. And the fact that we have largely forgotten this, largely failing to appreciate the supreme importance of it, pay attention to it, is killing us slowly, but surely, insidiously, impacting our most important relationships and bringing us to the brink worldwide once again. So I'll keep talking about the importance of character and I'll keep writing about it. And I hope you'll avail yourself of my work, all of the free articles available on my blog and also of my books, especially my most recent one, which my heart and soul is in, Essentials for the Journey, Embracing and Living the 10 Commandments of Character, the proven, time-honored principles for an emotionally healthy, psychologically healthy, and spiritually sound life. I thank you for tuning in. I'm Dr. George Simon, wishing you well. Until next time, take care.